The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, tackles economic, social, and leadership issues in over 40 countries. Richard Hurd is the senior economist and head of China, explains the biggest risks for the global economy.
The European governments somehow delay too long in settling some of the crises that are there in Greece, in Spain, and perhaps in a few other European countries. Delay, I think, here could spark another crisis and push up bond yields and push the economy down into an even prolong the recession that we see happening already in Europe. And the second risk, of course, comes from the United States, where the different arms of government, Congress, Senate, and the President, have yet to agree on a way to avoid the automatic increases in taxes and cuts in expenditure that are scheduled to come in at the beginning of 2013.
In the face of all these different headwinds, I sense a little bit of optimism from your report.
Well, I think as far as this year goes, I wouldn't say that Europe has been quite good. I mean, in half of the countries in Europe, GDP is actually going to fall. The figures vary, of course, from country to country, but at the one extreme you have Greece, where GDP has dropped by 6%, likely to drop by 6% this year. And there's a whole range of other countries where GDP is dropping by 2%. So you're getting Europe in recession.
Specifically, let's talk about China. There was a lot of talk earlier this year, concerns that perhaps the landing in China may be a little bit harder than first thought. But in your report and your forecast, you're citing a soft landing, and in fact, you see a potential rebound.
I think all the evidence is there now that the economy is recovering. I think the reason for that is that the slowdown in China was really a policy-induced slowdown. The government wanted to reduce inflation from 6%. It's got it down now to 2%, under 2%. It wanted to stabilize housing prices, which, you know, in 2010 had risen by 50%. They wanted to stabilize those. That's been achieved too. And so as a result of that, there's been some policy easing in China. You've seen interest rates dropping quite significantly in the market, and you've seen also quite significant increases in government expenditure.
I want to come back to that event, the 18th Party Congress, which you mentioned a bit earlier that was a fairly significant event. How has that affected the forecast?
Well, I think going out into 2014, it's a positive impact for the forecast, because the statements that were made at the 18th Party Congress, they announced a series of reforms that they would like to put into place over a 10-year period, in fact. But presumably they're going to start introducing some of those reforms fairly quickly. In particular, they emphasize the role of keeping a level playing field between private firms and state firms, and also giving a much greater role to the market rather than to government, rolling back the influence of government on the economy. And those really, we think, are positive factors for growth.